Hi, welcome to Dreaming of Chess Mastery. I'm Neil Priest, and this is my YouTube channel that delves into the world of adult chess improvement. As you can tell if you're new to the channel, I'm filming in my garden here in the rural northeast of Brazil. So this is more philosophical, psychological, pedagogical musings rather than nuts and bolts chess content. Now, we talk about adult chess improvement, and this is really what I want to pick apart, and an important starting point always is, well, what do we mean by improvement? And for the sake of this channel, I do believe it's getting better results. And how do we go about doing that? Well, on any sort of practical level, we need to play more good moves and less bad ones. And those are two very different ways in which we might improve our overall standard of play. And I do apologize for a lot of hand waving, but it's the rainy season and we are inundated with midges. So my apologies. But looking at improvement from the perspective either of actually playing better constructive moves or playing fewer destructive moves, both of them will lead to a positive result. And I've given this quite a lot of thought, to be honest, and it seems to me that there are 6 areas that in some sense contribute to our performance in the game. The first, which is on a sort of intuitive hand level, is our knowledge and skill. Of course, they're not the same thing. We might know something, but in practice fail to execute it. But if you think of, for example, winning a king and pawn ending, the knowledge will be a concept such as the opposition, and the skill will be, at the end of your rapid game, correctly bashing out the right moves when under time pressure. And I suspect that for most adult chess improvers, the idea of improvement seems to imply that we are going to develop these two things. We are going to build our knowledge base and improve our skill level. And as so many coaches and influencers, thinkers, advisors on the internet suggest, the core element to all of that is play more and analyze your games, preferably without an engine, perhaps with a coach. And by just playing lots and lots of games, making lots of mistakes in correcting them, you improve. And I think this will almost by a sort of organic process lead to your improvement. But for many of us, we find ourselves stuck in a point where we've improved and plateaued, and perhaps at that stage we're looking for something a little bit meatier. We move on to a second level, which is not so much the operating on an intuitive, just natural way of playing, but is more thoughtful, rational. And on this second level, I see sort of 2 key elements, and that is calculation and evaluation. So, and these are obviously intertwined when I'm talking about these different areas and facets of our performance. They are there is an overlap, and one requires the other. This goes without saying, but I think it's worth drawing this distinction. So, at a particular stage in our adult chess improvement journey, we find ourselves stuck, and a way to improve is to simply develop, and it's not simple, but to focus on building our sort of thought muscles, our ability to calculate, to push out the number of ply that we can accurately process in a game, to improve our ability to visualize a position through any one of a number of very sensible, well-documented exercises. Hand in hand with this process of calculation is that of evaluation, because it's no good just simply bashing out a series of candidate moves, reaching a sort of position where things have gone quiet. You've chosen 3 possibilities. You've looked 6 ply forward at these 3 clearly best alternatives in your mind. And then what? You've got to choose between one and the other. And that's where evaluation comes in. And indeed, evaluation probably is present right at the very beginning of the calculation. You are forming opinions about the position, and that's sort of leading you to conclusions about what you need to analyze. But that's, once again, I think, although it's probably something that you start focusing on with a greater emphasis later on in your adult chess improvement journey, we're all aware that we need to improve our ability to calculate more accurately, and to form more concrete evaluations of the position. Although that is probably an area where there is far less material available, and what is out there is very often limited in scope. It gives you a few guidelines about how to evaluate a position, and not nearly enough concrete positions that enable you to build that muscle, so to speak. Now, these 2 areas, the sort of more intuitive, basic level of knowledge and skill, and the more rational areas of calculation and evaluation, whether they're more or less focused upon out there, I think we're all aware of them. But there's a third sort of group of factors that influence our performance, and these are spoken about far less. And certainly when the average adult chess improver, if you were to interrogate the average adult chess improver, I think these would not be the things that they say are going to be their immediate point of focus in their chess training. They would say, tactics, 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 play more and analyze my games, work through Solon and Perelstein's evaluate like a GM, stuff like that. But the factors that I think are perhaps criminally underestimated are the psychological and physiological ones. Quite simply, if you're playing a game, one of the big sort of influences in whether we make a good or bad move is our state of mind, and one of the big drivers in our ability to then carry out calculations accurately is our sort of, to put it bluntly, our energy level. So improving our personal psychology, being neither too optimistic and thinking I'm winning and just looking at what we can do and overlooking that there's someone at the other side of the board who's threatening mate in two, or being too pessimistic. You've blundered a pawn, so you essentially give up and write off the game as a disaster, when in fact nothing could be further from the truth. Or even you've blundered a piece and you just resign in disgust when there is a way of finding counterplay or a swindle to play for. And these kind of elements of psychology, and I know two examples of many, are enormously important in determining how well we perform. Because after the game, when we stop, we sort of switch off the narrative and just look at the position dispassionately, the right move just pops out. And perhaps it would have if we could have just looked at the board in a sort of unattached way during the game while we're analysing. Of course, another layer to that is our ability to focus. So the idea that you start thinking and then you are thinking in a constructive way misses the point that there are thoughts storming into your mind all the time, laying siege, distracting you, and building up your ability to stay focused for a few minutes rather than a goldfish-like few seconds. Now that will make a difference to your performance. And focus and concentration comes at a calorific cost. So having better physical fitness, an improved diet, sleeping well, or simply, in my case, back in the day, not playing when you're hungover or even worse, still drunk. All these things, these physiological factors, will impact on your performance. And I'd like to suggest, as I sort of wrap this up, that perhaps simply improving our ability to stay focused in a game and our ability to keep calm, keep our emotions in check for an extended period that a classical game implies, that developing that strength is perhaps not our easiest, but maybe our quickest route to improvement. So if one was to develop that by building a meditation practice, I think we'd see results sooner rather than later. Whereas trying to improve our results by studying rook and pawn endings and then developing the skill to execute the theory in real time, it's important to do that, but that's going to take far more time. Anyway, that's it for now. I'm not sure how much longer I can take the dive-bombing midges and mosquitoes. So let me know what you think in the comments below. And who knows, you could, even if you're new to the channel, subscribe. Let's start a conversation. Otherwise, trust your chess is going well, your lives are filled with joy. Until the next video, ciao.